Welcome to April, everybody, and there's so much going on. We're going to get into that, but before I do that, I just want to say thank you for all the support, all the love that you have shown over the last week with my mom passing. It truly means a lot to me. My mom touched the lives of so many people, and from my youth, not just family, but my friends who consider her part of their family. And for those of you who didn't know her, still out your outpouring of love and positive thoughts and prayers for me and my family, believe me, they do not go unnoticed, and I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Now, let's get to the housing market update. And there's a lot to talk about today. We're going to talk about my view of government. We're going to talk about the Straits of Hormuz. We're going to talk about some of the different economic reports that came out. So let's get into it. Let's talk about the big three first, though. Prices are pretty steady. We had a report that came out today. We'll show you. We also have inventory. Inventory's going up. It's typical right now. And guess what? Interest rates. They go up or they go down. Guess what? They went down. That's great news. But we don't know how long that's going to last. We'll talk a little more about that here later. Let's look at the highlights. Again, the Middle East conflict still continues to hurt rates, but you know what? Rates kind of recovered a little bit this week. We're going to talk about Congress. We're going to talk about the government. All right, they're on recess right now, and that pisses me off. To quote a very good friend of mine, that really pisses me off. Home prices are up. That's great news. We got some job week surprises. We're going to talk about checking your credit, why you should check your credit before you buy. And then we're going to stick to should you buy or should you rent in the FAQ Friday. And then finally, surprise, we got some VA rate news. VA rates are down this week, as are rates across the spectrum. All right, let's get into the Strait of Hormuz. Not the Straits, but the Strait. I used to mess that up all the time. All right, the Iran conflict. All right, you can see Iran, that northern part of the Strait of Hormuz. Oh, man. Well, guess what? Not a lot of traffic, hardly any traffic going through there right now. That basically oil crunch in the Middle East is hurting inflation. And it's kind of weird because you got to figure, well, the United States, we don't need their oil. We got our own oil. We're like an oil exporter now. All right, we weren't always like that, but we're an oil exporter now. But you know what? We are not an insular. We are not an isolated economy. We are a part of a world economy. Let's talk about Brent crude. The oil prices, man, they've been traded between 100 and 108. Well, guess what? The projection this year, this is pre-Iran crisis, oil prices would be in the mid-50s. We're 100 to 108. And every time we talk, we hear ceasefire or the conflict's going to stop or shipping's going to start again. Those prices get closer to 100. But then we hear about, you know what, the conflict's going to last another couple weeks. We're going to pound the shit out of Iran. Crude oil prices go up to over $110 a barrel. So this is kind of what we're looking at. And this is what we're going to see going into and out of Easter is rates are going to be very headline sensitive. All right. And if we see some credible movement towards a ceasefire, peace negotiations, we will see the 10-year Treasury, which is now at 4.3%. It has been up at 4.4, heading to 4.5. But we might see that 10-year Treasury come back down to 4.1, 4.2%. So we can only hope, and you know what, hope is not a course of action. And you know what, you don't control that, neither do I, but that's something to keep an eye on because that's going to impact interest rates.
The president heads the executive branch, tasked with enforcing the laws and defending the nation against all enemies, foreign and domestic. The authority of the office is clear, and so is the responsibility. Act, decide, and lead. Congress, the legislative branch, is supposed to be where the real work of governing happens. Writing laws, approving budgets, and keeping the country running. That's not optional. That's the job. RHIP, rank has its privileges. RHIR, rank has its responsibilities. Right now, Congress is embracing the privileges and abandoning the responsibilities. While parts of the government shut down, impacting federal workers, military families, and everyday Americans, Congress goes on recess and continues collecting paychecks. Let's be clear, a government shutdown is not an accident. It is a failure to legislate. It is Congress choosing gridlock over governance. Budgets not passed, deadlines ignored, political theater prioritized over practical solutions. This isn't dysfunction, it's a dereliction of duty. The American people are told to live within deadlines, honor commitments, and be accountable. Yet the very body responsible for funding the government fails to meet its most basic obligation and faces no real consequence. Government was never meant to serve political parties, special interests, or career politicians. It was designed to serve its citizens. Congress has inverted that relationship, placing its own power, agendas, and re-election cycles above the people it represents. This is not a flaw in the Constitution. It is a failure of those entrusted to uphold it. Civil service has been replaced with self-service. And while this erosion has been building for decades, today it is undeniable. In an age of transparency, technology, and real-time information, the excuses are gone. What remains is a clear picture: a legislative branch that cannot or will not do its job. The result, a government that stalls, a nation that pays the price, and a growing sense among Americans that those in power are no longer working for them.
We got the Case-Shiller Home Price Index. This is the gold standard for home price appreciation across the country. And you know what? For the 6th month in a row, we had an increase in appreciation month over month for homes. And we're at 0.9% appreciation year over year, which isn't a lot. But you know what? I'll take an increase over a decrease any day of the week. And I want something steady. I don't want it too high. I want it to be steady, a little bit steady Eddie, because that just keeps the market really stabilized. We don't want what we had right after COVID when rates dropped and inventory fell off a cliff. We don't want that. We want home price appreciation to be steady. I would much rather have a 1.2, 2.2% year over year, but you know what? Baby steps, baby. Let's crawl, walk, run, right? And if you look at the 20 city index, we're at 1.2% year over year. So really, a lot of this depends, like we talk about all the time, location, location, location. That's story real estate, people. I got 2 clients who just bought in Virginia, in Fredericksburg and in the Fairfax area. They're competitive, man. They were knocking those home prices. Ain't no credits from sellers, man. There's so much competition in areas like that. Virginia Beach, same way. Some parts of Oahu are like that too. Kailua, super competitive. Hawaii, super competitive. So it's all about location, location, location. The home is priced right. Guess what? You're going to get a lot of people looking, and you're going to see a lot more appreciation than you are certainly across the nation as a whole. And let's take a look at the impact of mortgage rates on home price appreciation. If you look from February 25 to July of 25, we had depreciation. Home prices depreciated. Look at that. Rates were, though conventional rates were between 6.75 and 7.125%. Woo! But then interest rates started to come down. Look what happened to appreciation. And if you look at the last 6 months of appreciation, you're talking 3.3% annual appreciation. You put that out over the course of a full year, you're going to see 5 to 6%, which is about normal what you see across the nation for home price appreciation year over year. So it's all about the rates, baby. Home price appreciation has been up. You can see that interest rates are impacting the home price appreciation, but still we're overall seeing a positive impact on home price appreciation. Rates continue to come down, you're going to see even more. This is Jobs Week, and we had a couple of reports that have come out so far. We'll go over those. The big one is out on Good Friday, and I'm talking to you on Thursday. ADP, the private sector job report. ADP does most of our paychecks and whatnot. They showed 62,000 jobs gained in the month of March. February was 63,000, so a little bit of a drop, but that was above the 40,000 that was projected by the experts. And the gains, where are the gains at? Well, they're primarily in health and education services, and those are really job sectors that aren't necessarily impacted by the economy as much because we need people in the health sector and we need people in education. Initial claims are kind of flat for jobless. Continuing claims up about 20,000, 25,000 to 1.84 million. So we are inching slowly towards that 2 million continuing claims, but this really doesn't take into account those people who are working multiple jobs, working maybe jobs that they are not reporting. I think the job market is not necessarily as good. People would be applying for unemployment if they weren't working these other jobs. Yet another jobs report that came out, the Charger job cut report showed 61,000 cuts in March. And they claim that 25% of those cuts are due to AI. That's right, not Allen Iverson, AI. All right, JOLTS. JOLTS is a job opening labor turnover survey. Dropped down to 6.9 million versus the 7.2 million from the previous report. If those numbers keep dropping, and there's a lot of duplicity in those reports because you have some companies that post the same job in multiple states, and that counts as however many states those jobs are posted. So the bottom line on JOLTS is the number of job openings across the country is coming down. It's kind of to be expected, really, especially with AI and with a slowing economy. People aren't hiring new employees because, quite frankly, they can't afford to. Again, the big thing here coming out is BLS jobs report. We're at 4.4% last month. If we're at 4.5% unemployment, well, that's not good news for the economy, but that's good news for interest rates, and that might help interest rates go just a little bit lower. So I talked to you a little bit last week about solar panels, and I got solar panels on 3 of my 4 houses in Hawaii, and they saved me a tremendous amount of money, and they're all paid off. They're not leased, and I'm saving really on those homes that I have solar panels $200 to $300 a month in electricity bill. And guess what's going up? Electricity, the price of electricity if you don't have it. But buyer beware when you are looking to put solar panels. Not everybody should put solar panels on their home. It doesn't make sense in all cases. And we're looking at right now a client, not a client of mine, a homeowner. Let's just say this is a homeowner who can't sell their home. So they got solar panels for their home. This is in Waianae. There's a lot of sun in Waianae. And they paid over $100,000 for solar panels. Right? They're paying $330 a month for that lease. Their electricity bill probably wasn't even $330, but they're paying that much a month for those solar panels. Oh yeah, and they got a balloon payment after 18 months of $33,000. And if they don't pay that, guess what? Their payment goes up to $483 a month. This poor seller, they got bamboozled, all right? This is the definition of bohica. And if you're in the military, you know what bohica is because these homeowners, well, they just got it. It's kind of like when you're on deployment and you get steak and lobster for dinner. Bohica, baby. You know your deployment is getting extended. And I feel terrible for these clients. They cannot sell their home because nobody's going to take that lease. It doesn't improve the value of the home. It's not the value of the home went up because guess what? The home doesn't own those solar panels. The person buying the home isn't going to own those solar panels. So please, these solar panels cost more than what their electricity bill would be if they didn't have the solar panels. There is no savings for the homeowner in this instance. It is so important when you are looking to buy a home or when you own a home and you are looking at putting solar panels on your home, don't go to the salesman. Go talk to an expert who can help you make the right decision on whether or not putting solar panels on a home is worth it. This guy, 25 years, if his electric bill was $300 a month, and that's kind of on average for 25 years, all right, without solar, that would be $90,000 in electric bills or electricity utility costs. They're paying $330 a month. They're paying more than what their electricity costs. So please, no bohica, baby. Please be smart. You can talk to me. If I can't answer the question, I know the people who will. Your realtor, if they're worth their salt, they will find out for you. They will help you make the right decision so that you don't handcuff yourself and get in a position where you cannot sell your home. All right, big time on a soapbox. Please, we'll talk more about solar panels because those tax incentives are gone. Those tax incentives that we had to put solar panels on our homes, they're gone now. So how are solar companies, how are they incentivizing you to put solar panels on your home? We'll talk about that here in the next couple weeks. Super important for you to make the right decision, and I want to help you make the right decision. Can you tell I'm a little passionate about that? Man, I hate it when my clients get screwed over, and it's so important, folks, to make the right decision. And you know what, as a home buyer, you don't know who to trust. You really don't, especially if you're a first-time home buyer. You get phone calls from realtors, from lenders, people selling you stuff once you own the home. I mean, it's crazy. You got to work with people you trust and people who aren't going to disappear once the deal is over with. That's one of the things that I pride myself on with the broker is, man, we're your loan officer for life, man. Our job is to make you a successful homeowner. Now let's talk about people who are just getting started. And why is it so important to check your credit report when buying a home? You want to catch any errors early. And I've seen it happen before. Maybe there's a collection that didn't get removed. You know what? You don't want to find that out when you're going to put an offer on a home and then you get your credit pulled. Surprise, surprise, surprise. Nobody likes that. All right, so you catch your errors early by getting your credit pulled, by checking your credit report. And you can do that on your own. You don't need a hard credit pull to do that. You just need to use Credit Karma. I got a great app. Actually, we'll post that I use, and you don't get any spam. You don't get spam, credit card advertisements, or it simply just tracks your credit and it alerts you when your credit report drops. So really good tool. And you want to know where you stand. All right, because guess what? Remember that credit report is your financial report card. And if you got low credit scores, it's like getting D's and F's in school. You ain't getting a scholarship. You ain't getting a home loan. So super important to know where you stand. Again, I always say when I'm talking to my clients, you can't get from point A to point B if you don't know where point A is. And that's what I'm talking about. Find out where point A is, know where you stand. And by checking early, you give yourself time to improve your score. Now, some lenders, if your score is low, guess what? They're going to say, meh, whatever, come back to me when your score is better. One of the things that certainly, another thing that we pride ourselves on as a broker is that we are going to help you get your credit score higher. We are going to sit down with you, go through your budget, figure out where you're at so that you can get that credit score higher. And you know what? Again, like I said before, if I can't do it, I'm going to point you in a direction of somebody who I trust who will not take advantage of you. And then again, you don't want to avoid surprises. And tell you what, the worst thing you get is, somebody say contract and then they did a credit, they got a loan, they got to open up a credit card, but it's not on their credit report. And the bottom line on this, folks, is you just want to avoid surprises. Nobody likes surprises. I don't like them. You don't like them. Your realtors don't like them. The sellers don't like them. Check your credit report early. All right. FAQ Friday. What's better, buying or renting? Well, we're going to talk about what I hear a lot of times. Buying it's too expensive to buy here. Prices are too high. Yeah, I get it. Prices are high, and it certainly feels overwhelming. But the tough reality is that real estate values have been rising faster than incomes over the past several years. And while it seems like, okay, the median sales price of a single family home in Hawaii is about $1.22 million. That seems like high. It's high. Oh, I'm going to wait for prices to come down. Bruh, it ain't going to happen. All right. I grew up in San Jose, California. Median sales price in San Jose, California in 2016 hit $1 million. First metropolitan service area in the U.S. to have a median sales price of $1 million. Fast forward 10 years, guess what the median sales price is in San Jose? $2 million. That's right. It's doubled in 10 years. Now, Hawaii was at like 760, right? I think in 2016, and now we're at 1.2. Do you think Hawaii prices are going to go higher? You got suburbia in San Jose. You can move out. Man, you can't move out in Oahu, bro. You're going to be in the water. Nobody sells home with the scuba gear. Home prices in San Jose can get to $2 million. Do you think that home prices in Hawaii will get there eventually? And you know what? Here's the other thing. Delaying means you're chasing a moving target because the home prices are going to keep going up. And if you have to do a down payment and you have to do 5%, well, you do 5% on a $500,000 home, that's $25,000. Well, now that home's worth $600,000. Well, you saved the $25,000, but guess what? Now it's $30,000. So you're constantly playing catch up just to buy that home. And let's talk about the people who own homes. Did you know that people who already bought, all right, talking years, who got in early, $34 trillion in home equity right now. That's a lot. There's $34 trillion of home equity that exists in America. I didn't say million, I didn't say billion, trillion. People who own homes or own real estate, their net worth is over $400,000. The net worth of renters, $10,000. So do you wait or do you get in now? You get in now. You just got to make sure you're smart when you're buying. VA rates, I love it. We are back below 6%. That's where we want to be. We want to keep going down. But you know what? Like I said before, we are headline sensitive right now. And with the volatility in the market, rates are going up and down. It's going to happen. All right. But overall, we want that trajectory to start coming down. And, I think, a lot of the negotiation misinformation that we're seeing right now is causing this seesaw movement in interest rates, the 10-year treasury, mortgage-backed securities. People who are waiting for these rates to go lower, man, I tell you what, it's kind of like my thought here is when rates are higher, be a smart buyer. Super important, because when rates are lower, you got to brace for more buyers. And trust me, every 1% drop in interest rates brings in 5 million more buyers across the market. Now, we're not talking Oahu, we're talking across the U.S., all right, because the affordability becomes into play for more people as interest rates go down. That's all I gotta say about that. So interest rates are looking good as we head into the Easter weekend. Have a great weekend. Have a great, blessed Easter weekend. And thank you again for all your support. It truly means so much to me and my family. And I love doing what I do, which is why, life moves on. And you know what, my mom, she don't want me to be sad. She don't want me to cry. She wants me to keep charging, because that's what she did. My mom was a fighter. All her life, she was a fighter. And you know what? She made a lot of mistakes, but she never gave up. And I take that as a lesson learned, as the legacy she left me is never stop fighting. Never, ever stop fighting. Keep pushing forward. Stay positive. And although I will say this is kind of funny. One time she told me, I forget, I think I'd run away from home, and I came home. She drove me, picked me up and drive me home. She said, Larry, life is not a bowl of cherries, it's the pits. And it was so freaking funny. And I just started laughing. And then she got pissed off at me. But you know what? You just got to deal with the negative shit that happens in life. Is kind of what she was saying. And you know what? You just keep charging on. You don't give up. You don't quit. You don't run away. And that's a lesson that I take. And quite frankly, I hadn't even thought about that until just now. But some of the great things that legacy that my mom left me, and I love her so much, and I'm so grateful for her. All right, you guys have a great weekend. Aloha.